Here's a stat that'll blow your mind. Erling Haaland, the guy who scores goals for fun in the league, has never scored in a semi-final. Not one. And in 9 finals across his career, just 3 goals. So the big question is, how bad is he really when it comes to clutch moments? Roy Keane once said, Haaland plays like a League 2 player when it comes to general play. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. We all know Haaland is a goal-scoring machine. The guy scores goals like it's a cheat code. But does he really have the skills to back it up? Or is Keane right to call him a glorified low-league poacher? That's the big question. Let's break it down. Nobody is denying Erling Haaland is an absolute monster in front of goal. The numbers he puts up in the Premier League are mind-blowing. The kind of stats people will tell their grandkids about. But let's take a step back and ask, is he really as great as everyone makes him out to be? Here's the deal. If Haaland were to swap shirts with someone like Dominic Solanke at Bournemouth, Ollie Watkins at Aston Villa, or even Jared Bowen at West Ham, would he still put up those ridiculous numbers? Highly unlikely. The system and quality around him at Manchester City elevate his game, and without it, the story might look a lot different. Haaland doesn't score when it matters most. This dude stormed the Premier League like a Viking warrior in his first season with Manchester City. Everyone thought he'd need time to adjust, but nope, he just came in and smashed records like they were nothing. 52 goals in all competitions, 36 in the Premier League alone, 6 hat-tricks, that's just ridiculous. He even broke Mohamed Salah's record for most goals in a single Premier League season. Yeah, Haaland didn't just eat, he feasted. But while everyone is losing their minds over Haaland's numbers, there's something people aren't talking about enough. Does he really show up in the biggest games? Let's take his first season at City, his record-breaking campaign. Out of all the games where Manchester City actually needed a goal, where they were either trailing or tied, Haaland managed to score against just 2 top-half teams, Brighton and Aston Villa. That's it. The argument that City rarely needs clutched goals because they're often dominating games doesn't hold water either. And just look at the last season. With Chelsea 1-1 draw, Haaland missed a sitter when City were trailing. Manchester United, 3-1 win. Sure, he scored when the game was already wrapped up. Liverpool 1-1 draw. Haaland was a ghost, contributing little to nothing when his team needed him. And let's not forget the missed chances. While Darwin Núñez often gets clowned for missing sitters, Haaland himself has missed 26 big chances last season, more than anyone else. None of the Golden Boot winners from the last 5 seasons led in that stat. To put it bluntly, if all City needed was someone to smash goals against the likes of Sheffield United or Luton, they could have signed Charlie Austin for a fraction of the cost. Even in the previous season's biggest games, the Arsenal showdown, the Champions League semis against Real Madrid, and the finals against Inter Milan and Manchester United, Haaland was nowhere to be found when the pressure was on. While his numbers are phenomenal, the criticism comes when you look at the biggest games. Haaland's incredible debut season ended with Manchester City winning a treble, and how much of that success can be credited to him stepping up in crunch moments? In the key matches, Haaland was largely quiet. Sure, City triumphed, but the victories often came down to team brilliance rather than individual magic from Haaland. Those do-or-die matches in cup finals or semi-finals, his record might surprise you. Haaland has played in 6 cup finals for Manchester City and has failed to score in any of them. Even if you include his time at Borussia Dortmund, Molde, and RB Salzburg, his record in finals is underwhelming. Across 9 cup finals in his professional career, he has scored just 3 goals, all of which came during his early days at Dortmund. To put it into perspective, he's been blanked in 7 consecutive finals since his brace in the 2021 DFB Pokal final. It gets even more astonishing when you look at the semi-finals. Haaland has never scored in a semi-final throughout his professional career, not one. This includes 3 outings for Manchester City, where he drew blanks in the 2023 FA Cup semi-final against Sheffield United, and both legs of the Champions League semi-final against Real Madrid. Even during his younger days at Molde and Salzburg, Haaland couldn't find the back of the net in semi-final matches. While his numbers in league play are mind-blowing, this pattern raises questions about his impact in those career-defining moments. Haaland lacks versatility in his goals. Haaland is clinical, but his range as a striker is limited. There's no denying he has the power and instinct to bury chances, but does he have the flair or technical ability to score from any angle? Think about it. When was the last time you saw Haaland score with a curling shot, a delicate outside foot finish, or a volley that screamed precision? Can anyone recall him weaving through defenders or pulling off a moment of pure magic from 30 yards out? Great Premier League strikers, Thierry Henry, Alan Shearer, Luis Suarez, Sergio Aguero, Harry Kane could score any type of goal from any position at any time. Haaland's one-dimensional style puts a ceiling on his game, which is why someone like Alexander Isak at Newcastle could arguably have a more successful and complete career despite not putting up the same numbers. He's fantastic, no doubt, but when it comes to making things happen when it matters the most, there are some question marks. Haaland is more of a pure goal machine. He stays in the box, waits for the ball, and when he gets it, boom, goal. It's simple, but it works. Haaland doesn't need many touches. He's efficient, but that's also the downside. He doesn't do much outside of scoring. When Haaland isn't getting the ball, he can look pretty lost. You've probably seen those games where he barely touches the ball, and if he doesn't get service, he's stuck. Roy Keane's comment about Haaland's general play being so poor is harsh, right? But it does highlight a key point about Haaland's game. While he's an absolute machine in front of goal, his link-up play and some of the basics, like his first touch or his ability to hold up the ball, are sometimes a bit clunky. You'd expect more from someone with his kind of talent. But is it really that big of a problem? No one can question Haaland's ability in the box, his positioning, his poaching, his ability to make those deadly runs. It's next level. In fact, his numbers are so good that it's hard to think of him as anything but a goal-scoring machine. But then you watch Haaland when he is not getting the ball, when City's struggling to break down a deep block, and that's when his flaws show. Keane's criticism about Haaland's general play isn't completely off. The guy doesn't always contribute to the build-up. His first touch, not as silky as you'd expect from someone so talented. He can sometimes look a bit isolated or static when City are trying to play through the midfield or when he's being tightly marked. But here's the thing, that's not exactly Haaland's job. He's not there to drop deep and play like a classic number 10. He's there to be a finisher, to stay on the last defender's shoulder, and when the ball comes in, he's ready to pounce. His movement is scary good when he's allowed space, and that's why he's such a clinical goal scorer. Now, where Keane's point lands is when Haaland gets snuffed out. When teams pack the box and defend in numbers, that's when he can struggle. We saw this last season in some of the biggest games for City, and when that happens, it's not just about being marked out of the game. It's about him not doing enough to get himself into those critical positions. Haaland's game plan is simple but effective. It's about efficiency. Get him in the box, give him the ball, and he'll score. But when he's faced with defenders who know how to crowd him out, that's when his game falls short. He's got the tools to create space, to be a threat in the box, but when things aren't going his way, he doesn't always show the versatility that you might expect from one of the world's best strikers. At the end of the day, though, you can't really argue with the results. Haaland does what he's asked to do, score goals, and he's pretty damn good at it. He's not a perfect all-around player, and maybe his game can be a bit one-dimensional at times. But when it comes to finding the back of the net, there's no one better. And for a striker, that's kind of the whole point, right? Haaland is just 23 years old, so there's plenty of time for him to evolve and silence the critics. But until he delivers a true Aguero versus QPR or Drogba versus Bayern Munich moment, when the stakes are sky high, the hype feels a little overblown. Scoring against the smaller teams is great, but football's greatest legends are defined by their performances when it truly matters. What do you think? Is he the complete striker, or does he still have a lot to work on? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and if you're new here, subscribe for more breakdowns and all things football. Catch you in the next one.